we spend most of our lives trying to replicate the success of other people. Somewhere along the line, we realize that the exact copy of whatever they did doesn't bring us happiness. And all the pieces that built you, they're falling apart. How do you put them back together? What do you make out of those pieces? You gotta make something new. Because the old thing, it just doesn't add up anymore. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. There we go.
Wow. Incredible.
Wow. I like that intro because I didn't think about anything but the intro. I was in the moment. I was grasping it.
Feeling
firmly.
it? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Coursing through you, pulsing through you, maybe even. Well, I'm Nick, folks.
I'm Dan.
And this is just another friggin' episode
Of the Unpanderers.
Ah.
Welcome. We enjoy
Welcome.
you thoroughly.
We enjoy you. Maybe thoroughly. Maybe just like averagely.
I hope you enjoy myself.
You enjoy myself. Mm-hmm.
So, this
So.
episode is a hodgepodge, a mix of two things. One,
A well-prepped episode that you're going to be ready for.
clean, clear cut,
Mm-hmm.
direct,
Mm-hmm. Yes, to the point.
meandering nonsense.
Not at
No,
all. Mm-hmm.
No, not. Where
Straight
what
to
was
it.
next? So two things.
Two things.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis.
Yep.
Or crises, as it's referred to as.
And replication, which has a lot of implications.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, where does this begin? We talk about...
Well, let's talk about midlife crises.
Yeah,
Want to start with that? When do
Sure.
they usually happen? Like 35 to 45?
somewhere in there. We had an episode on this, and I think
We
we did
did.
it about 2 years ago.
We did.
And it's kind of strange
didn't have-
because we weren't, I don't think we were there yet.
In midlife crises. No, now we're there. We are. Boom.
Yeah.
Here we are. We have them. Boom. Holy crap. People are doing crazy stuff now.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that make it a midlife crisis. Is that I'm going to start with number one, and I don't know how many numbers there are, but we're going to keep going. A.
Yeah.
You replicate yourself. Is that you?
We're going to start with number one. A. Number one. A.
Roman numeral
Good
I.
start. Good.
So you replicate yourself. I think kids, you make a copy of yourself with somebody else who also makes a copy of themselves, and you battle to make the better copy of oneself constantly.
Sounds like Terminator. I don't
Yeah.
100% agree with it, but I can see where you're going with it a little bit. Okay.
You try to
So
copy
you're trying to recreate.
yeah, their physical
something?
body, their mentality, their education. They gotta have
The
swim
way
lessons.
they did their
Yeah.
career type lesson. Okay.
Career.
You're trying to be them.
You're trying to give them what you remember as childhood, even though that's incredibly flawed. Like
Are you talking
never-
about to your kid?
you try to give your kid the
Who you
opportunities
giving
that
it
you
to?
had. What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the kid part. So it's literally you're giving your child your childhood.
Yep.
Okay,
You're
which
trying.
was flawed.
Oh,
Sure.
terribly. Yeah.
Terrible. It was actually a terrible upbringing. In fact, by recreating it, you're creating a terrible upbringing. So you're recreating everything. Yeah.
Well, I had a
Give them the memories, going to the beach, doing this, packing up to go to the
Awful.
camper, which, by the way, as a kid you hated, and now as an adult you're trying to recreate it for the kid.
yes.
And you're like, I hated this when I was a kid, but we're gonna we're gonna do it. And you pack up the vehicle and you
It's an
force
oxymoron.
everyone to do sort of.
It's
Well-
catch 22.
It's a catch-22 because You didn't enjoy it as a kid. You thought it felt forced. You did not enjoy it. Your memories of it they're interesting because it was different than the norm. So we'll give it that. It has points there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's doing something different.
Yes.
It's tradition, so that's like an extra point. And it was awful, and you hated it, and it was inconvenient. So as an adult, you're like, I would never do that to my kid, except that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do tradition, and we're going to make it awful, and I'm going to pack the car, and I'm going to hate it, and I'm not really know what I'm doing, but my family did it, and darn tootin', we're going to do it too.
Is that irony?
Yeah, I think that's irony because like you swore against it, you would never do it, you hate it, and then here you are 20 years later doing it anyway.
Yes.
Just doing it again and being like, damn it, we have to do this.
So what things from your childhood are you trying to replicate with your child? Are you
We do a lot of vacations. We do beach trips and stuff like that, and we load the vehicle up, and we have so many goddamn beach toys. And we put so many goddamn beach toys on a beach cart that I have to wheel to the beach, and I hate it. It's like literally, it's hell on earth.
You gotta
I'm
go over
like,
the dunes and like the angle. If 30-degree incline makes you realize that your muscles aren't what they were, you're withering away
my
trying
muscles
to lift.
are what they were, but it doesn't matter. It's still a lot of work for what? This is the kicker. I put all of this stuff in the car. It took a long time to find it. I don't know why we still have it in the garage. It takes up space. I want to get rid of it. Oh, we keep it for beach trips. I get it. I put it in the vehicle and stack it for the beach trip. It has to be stacked a certain way so sand doesn't everything. Then when it gets there, we have to unpack it into the beach house. I have to put it somewhere. It has to come out of the vehicle. Then when we go to the beach, it has to be loaded onto the beach caddy, and we have to bring it to the beach. Then I walk it to the beach, and I have to trek it. I have to push it. I have to pull it. I have to move it over dry sand, wet sand, over the humps, over the curbs, everything. And then when we get to the beach, no one will friggin' play with it. Or if they do, it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the hell?
Does that even matter to them? Is that, I think you get
No.
to this, yeah, exactly. You get to this stage where I personally saw that my wife, she tries to set up all of these things that are like supposed to happen in a certain way, and the child just blows right by it and she's like, woo, oh yeah, splash, I want to throw sand in your face, eat this. And it's like none of this, like the true nature of enjoyment is just let the kid go, let him run, like be free.
You can't
into the
you
woods
can't
you go.
plan enjoyment particularly.
No.
I think it's a flawed model to plan enjoyment.
Especially the way that children see the world. Like we got macaroons today, and like they don't know what they are. They just said, "Whoa, tiny chocolate cheeseburgers. This is great." And it's just like, you're right. That's what these things are. Just I accept it. I
Go
love
for it. Yeah.
Go for it.
Please go for it.
But it's just bizarre. It's like everything that they do is just like, oh, I guess you're kind of right. Like if you didn't have any like preparedness, you didn't know what things were. Yeah, in your mind, that's a chocolate cheeseburger, 100%.
But sometimes you're wrong. They're like, I don't want to do that. And you're like, no, this is a fun game. I played it with my parents before them for years and generations, and everyone played Parcheesi. It's a great game. And they're like, I don't want to play. And you're like, you have to play to have fun. And like it's become a forced position because it's like, if you don't play, you won't have fun. Like you're like forcing fun to happen. I don't know.
So the other thing is you run out of time. I'm just hit all the things I think are midlife crises.
Oh, go ahead.
Is that you have kids, you run out of time, you try to make other people happy, no one else tries to make you happy. It starts to fade. Your importance in other people's eyes.
Not a lot of people are trying. No, not a lot of people trying to make the dads around the world happy.
Yeah.
If you are, shout out.
No one's ever like,
if you're a fan of the daddies.
Oh, how are you?
Double
How are you
thumbs
today,
up.
Nick? You feel okay? You're looking a little down.
Can I rub your feet? Yeah, actually. Yeah, let's put my feet up. Let's go.
His
Very
name's
Seinfeld
Derek,
voice.
and he's a little tickly.
I don't care. I don't.
You know,
He's gonna rub my feet.
Yeah. If a man came on to
Midlife
me
crisis.
and said, "I want to give you massages all day long," I'd be like, "All right, that sounds good.
Okay.
Can I have?
What's the catch? What's the catch?
I make
Gonna
smoothies." You'd be
show
like,
me a
"Hey,
little
man,
weenie. And I'd be like, give me a hug, pal. I like it.
Are you Mormon? Come on, let me know. Put it in the
Multiple
comments
wives,
below."
Oh.
So people stop caring about you, and the weird part about it is, it's like your kids only care about the attention you give them. Your wife
Sure.
only cares about the attention you give her, and your parents don't
Sure.
give a shit about you anymore because you're all grown up, Really?
Kind of do.
Kind
Like
of.
my parents still kind of care about me.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just saw
that's
them like
nice.
the past 2 days, so I mean they were nice to me.
Hmm. That's nice, Nick.
Now they didn't. I mean, what did they do for me? Well, they did supply some dinner. We had a
Hmm.
birthday party for my dad, so that was cool. He is not at a midlife crisis. I think he's settled down finally at 60. Shout out
So,
my father.
good job. Good
So
job,
he's not going to make it
dads.
to 120. Is that what you're saying?
He might.
He might.
His
Technology
stash will live on.
just might. Anyway, go ahead. People stop caring about you in general.
Yeah.
100%.
And then you stop caring about yourself. No, you don't. You don't feel like you stop caring about like
Well,
progression.
I
Like
I
what's next,
do.
Nick?
Well, oh no, I don't have a plan for myself or anything like that.
So you stop caring.
No, I mean I groom and I brush my teeth and I work out. That's about it.
You still got six pack abs?
Kind of do, yeah.
Kinda. It's not an answer.
Well, so there's different kind of six packs. I didn't want to get into this in this
Oh,
episode. There's congruent six packs where it's like a perfect six, and then there's incongruent, and I have like a little irregular six
how do
pack.
you
But it's
correct that? Is that even possible?
no, it's not actually. Your muscle groups actually form that way, and it might have to do with your diet and something to do with your body, and I don't know.
How
The
many
article
days you
seemed very
played
interesting.
video games? How many
How many
hours you
days
spent?
you've played video games?
72?
So
Oh, fuck.
you're out.
It's odd.
You're
Odd
already
number?
done.
Incongruent?
Odd,
Even numbers? It's
incongruent.
like just another day of video games and they'll straighten them out.
So I will say there's some things I care about myself, but for the most part, nah. It's just like, nah.
Yeah, your life goals. You realize that
Oh, life goals? No. Good Lord, I don't have any of those.
5-year plan?
Suicide memes are like my favorite things to go to. It's like,
You got a
wish I
fresh
was
one?
dead with like a hang 10 symbol or like whatever, and you're like, let's like that one. That's pretty. I think that's my go-to. Yeah.
The other thing I read the other day is that someone was like graduating college and they like their whole life was built towards being an engineer and working for NASA and like doing these crazy things. And as an intern, they succeeded in all of that. And they said, "Well, what do I do now?" Before they even graduated college.
Peaked.
And they said, "I'm
Peaked
just gonna
early
sell
there.
my time for money, and then I'll be free." I was like, "Wow, this is the
Essentially
darkest
what you
view."
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oof.
pretty much true. At
Mhm.
some point, you just have done something so long that you're just like, well, I guess I should do it more. This is the way it goes, I suppose.
It is. It is. It is. I suppose.
Hmm.
So what's next? You
That's
stop caring
the
about yourself.
sexual
Time.
drive.
Ooh,
It
I
starts
haven't
to
gotten there.
it starts to dwindle. Not
Diminish?
necessarily the amount, but it's like the satisfaction you get from it.
That's fair. I believe you.
You're like,
I believe you.
you know the positions the other person likes, and like deviating. And it's like,
Isn't that from the same person though?
you gotta. I guess you gotta mix it up. Do you become alive again when you have another interest?
Oh my
I don't
God,
know.
I don't know. That would be an interesting test that someone should have to run.
Hmm. Yeah, but I find that like even if I'm having a lots of sex, it's like it's not like I'm 16 again and like I've never seen a vagina before in person. In
Well,
person.
I mean, I've never seen a vagina again in person. IRL, in real life. This is
ASL.
an IRL vagina. Yeah, ASL baby. I guess. I mean, that ties into realistically, no matter who you are and your sex drive, it will slowly start to diminish as the older you get. We obviously know this. No one has the sex drive as when they were 22 or 21, and that they will when they're 38.
Hmm.
It's just physics. Might still be able to perform pretty well and do your thing, but like eventually it will slow down.
My marks are pretty high
On the ceiling?
on my report card.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were going with the stains on your ceiling.
Oh, it's like
Those are
scary
pretty high.
movie.
Yeah, that's the joke. Yeah,
Oh,
you got it. It's pretty good.
there you
Seaman is what I was trying
go. It's for the other Dans of the audience.
to. Who may need to know. May need a little hint or two.
Seaman.
See page 42. So what else goes?
What else is disappointing? Is that other people are better than things at
Well,
you?
what about this one? What you didn't
Like
mention is
better
like you
than you at
didn't
things.
you didn't do a thing.
Yeah,
You didn't do
regret.
a thing.
You can never go back. and more regrets build up. And if you have good memory, it just piles on.
So people with better memories are worse midlife crises. Crises.
Oh my god.
I remember all the things I didn't do.
Yeah, all the bad
And
questions.
there's a lot of them.
All the times I came onto a woman and I said the wrong thing. Oh, that's awkward.
Seaman.
Hey, nice to
Okay,
see me.
I see what you're saying.
Oh no.
Oh,
I did it
jeez.
again. I have to leave this friend group now.
I was going with more like what you didn't do. Like you didn't decide to become a motorcycle guy. Everyone could. You could, right?
Yeah.
You didn't get into billiards really bad. You didn't start smoking cigars and drinking scotch. You never did. Like some people did.
Settled
30.
early.
You just drank regular beers. Maybe you didn't get into, I don't know, what else do people do? Like, you never did sports cars. Like, you were like, I never got into cars. And I never really had money, and I didn't do it. It wasn't my thing.
I never won the championship.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Sports. That's a big one. People never got into it. Now you're...
I could see it in all my like other friends, even like high school friends that didn't play team sports. Because in college, you can't really... Like, if you're not really good at it.
Incorrect. Yes, you can. I signed up for men's league ice hockey. That was my first ice hockey experience.
It's your first ice hockey experience. But that's
it was
not,
men's league C.
But that's not a true competitive outlet. Like, it is competitive.
Oh, no. That's the most competitive thing I've ever seen in my life. There's people cutting each other's throat at age 38 and 40 because of what we're talking about today, technically. Those exact people we're referring to. The ones who missed their chance.
Wait, he didn't play any. Did you play any sports in high school?
No, I got cut from the crew team practice, and I wanted to play ice hockey, but like I didn't have ice skates, and my parents never were going to get me, so no.
Oh, that's so sad, Nick.
So I played them in college. Yeah. Which you can do, but you're not going to play on any varsity team. You're going to play on the men's league C.
I feel like that's a missed opportunity, though.
Oh, it is, but.
Yeah.
But I wasn't athletic till like high school, college age.
More sorrow, Nick. We need more sorrow. Midlife crisis.
I'll get there.
Anguish.
Oh, trust me.
Show me the anguish, Nick. God damn it, Nick. Dance monkey.
Fine. I wish I had. Like, I'm not saying I'm glad I didn't. Like, who's the douchebag who says, like, I'm glad I didn't play high school sports. I played them in college. Like, no, I totally would have loved to freaking play high school sports. But, like, I don't know if it's because my parents were... like had 2 other kids and we didn't have a lot of money, or because I was also awful at sports. Like you combine the two and it's like, yeah, we're not wasting our money, kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't regret it. I mean, I wish they had, because that would have opened new opportunities for me. Interesting.
Yeah. I
could have played for your friggin' dad. Oops.
Yeah. He's a coach.
Yeah, coach.
Well, that's the surprising thing, is that they had 4 ice hockey teams. And they added a 5th so that all the rejects could play. And
hold on.
Dylan,
they had V1, V2, JVA, JVB. They had another one?
JVC.
They had JVC?
Uh-huh.
At our high school?
Yeah.
You were on C?
I was on C, yeah. I wasn't that good.
Dude,
I
could have made C.
You could have made C. You could have played.
I could have made C. Everybody. Who else is on C? Give me some names without last names.
Martin.
Oh, dude, I love Martin. I would have loved to play with Martin G. Oh, my God.
What's McGill?
Yeah, I would have played with McGill. Yeah. Oh, dude.
And then
did you have Pincher?
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan was that bad? I thought he was good.
He had a good shot, but he couldn't move.
Okay. What about Pincher or something like that?
Who?
Pincher.
I think he was higher.
Okay, that's fine. How about AJ?
No, yeah.
Well, he is C written all over him. That's hilarious.
Wait, you gonna tell the story about how it's like it's the you ever suck dick for coke? Yeah. No, he made out with a man for weed, for
money and weed. It was money too.
Money and weed. Wow, that's
he got like $50 and he got like a baggie of weed, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like at the prom or some kind of dance. It. No, not at all. You know what? Power to him. I mean, he got what he wanted, right? Like what? No skin off his back.
But it was a motley crew, so it's a unique experience, and then the focus, there's a drive there that I feel like an outlet for all the aggression you have when you're a kid. It helps. Actually, body checking somebody legally, and then laughing at them as they smack the ice. That feels really, really good.
That it does.
Oh.
Can't do that in the corporate job. You can, but there are different consequences, I feel like.
Hmm.
Anyway, move on. What else? What else makes up this list?
I don't know. I feel like what did I cover already? Is that you lose your time, you
Hmm.
don't have anybody caring about you.
No one cares about you. You missed out on opportunities to
Yeah.
do sports,
Regrets.
things, whatever you liked. Regrets, sure.
Your drive is fading. You haven't met your goals.
Yeah, sure. I would agree with that.
And other people are better than you. There's just people out there that
Yeah.
spent their time honing their skills at certain things, and you're just like, that's depressing.
F you.
Yeah.
F you. So good at that. Two things that I should have thought of, and you're like, oh, damn. You're a loser, but damn you. Damn you.
The other thing is that I don't know that the end goal is that valuable. Like, for like retirement purposes, like being free and not having like, or having a boatload of money and not having any necessary like requirements on you, I don't know if that's happiness either. I see a whole bunch of celebrities that just don't like, they're aimless and they wander, and it's just like, what? Like, you have millions of dollars, like, what? Do something else. And they're just like, I don't know what to do.
Interestingly enough, the happiest thing in my life is that I'm in junior sales at my job. Make dirt money, and I hang out with like 23-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 27-year-old. And like we all make dirt money and we all get shit on and we're all really bad in the company and we all get like shit jobs and all we do is dick around and G-chat each other and fucking tell inside jokes and we're like kind of like low lights. Like we're not striving to be the best we can at the company. Like, you know what I mean?
Slackers.
Yeah. But we have inside jokes. We dick around. Like that's the most fun thing I have in my life right now.
So
And it's ironic that it's literally the opposite of making good money and being successful.
But that's the other thing, is like being successful really means that you take on a lot of stress and do more work than you should because you're
Probably.
respected.
You're
Respected, quote
also
unquote.
isolated.
Yeah.
There's a camaraderie in the being a working class schmuck.
Yes.
Like being one of the yeomen, being a nobody in a way.
I find this also, but I have people working under me because I'm a manager, technically, I guess, or
Mhm.
not technically. I just rose
You
to
are.
that
You
level.
just are.
I guess I'm a manager. And it's weird because, like, some of the people under me don't have any drive. And I have to, like, have these, like, weird gimmicks. I feel like a shithead. I have these weird gimmicks to get them to
They
do their
think it too.
job. And it's like, if it was me, I would just go out and do the job and, like, figure out the best way to do it. But that's not how everyone works. Like, I
True.
guess I'm type A and I never knew it. But,
Hmm.
like, these people are not type A, most of them. And they just kind of, like, will do the bare minimum over a
What
long
are they
period
getting
of time.
paid?
Not my. I have basic people that get paid like $20 an hour.
So like, do you think it also has to do with their pay period? Like, do you know what I mean? What if you're like, yo, if you get the job done better and faster, we'll pay you like 1.5 times as much. Do you think that would help them?
I thought
I'm
about
just
this.
asking.
I thought about this on a walk today, where I made $16 an hour when I was in college at an internship, and I did lots of crazy shit to try to like prove this like theory right. And I don't know that the money matters when you're, because like the people were paying $20, they're young, they're like
Hmm.
college age, so it's like the drive is either there or not. That's the other thing. It's like classifying
Sure,
people.
there are certain people,
Yeah.
right? You will find that certain people have the drive, certain ones don't.
And it's weird to like be a manager and then understand that like you can't just expect people to do it if you ask them. You have to actually like set
Trick
goals
them.
and then track them, and then also like set these like milestones, like these weird
Trick them.
milestones that
Sort of.
don't matter. So you're constantly like making up this fake like scheme so that they'll work harder, and then you realize that you've become a manager and you're the dickhead. Like you're the dickhead marching
It's it.
people forward for no reason at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's it.
the glory of it doesn't really add up to what it actually is. And I think
Hmm.
at this age you realize that that happens enough that you're like, I don't know that anything will really make me happy that is supposed to be like the penultimate thing.
Sure. The is there anything else that kind of sums up what we're talking about before we talk about it itself?
Hmm.
Any other ingredients that go into like kind of like a midlife thing? I guess there has to be a plateauing, right?
Yeah.
Your life doesn't go up anymore. You're not making your relationship making, your interactions are going down. Like
Yeah,
you're not increasing in all these things. You're kind of, hey, this is where you're at, dude. This is where you're at, buddy.
yeah.
You're not meeting X amount of new people. You're not doing X amount of new relationship stuff. You're not finding out who you are.
You're
You're
not
not.
expanding, growing.
No, you're not. I mean, you are who you are at this point. You're not like, man, I have so much potential to be anything. Nah, you're probably one of three things. Like, you know what I mean? We got you pretty
You're
pegged.
stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the
So,
milestones have already
mhm,
passed. So, like, new car, new house,
mhm.
getting married, having kids. Like,
Yeah,
what's
those are all
what's
pretty big ones. I mean, what
after
more
that?
is there?
Yeah,
Retiring? I don't know that there are
that's a
any big
long
ones.
ass time. For you,
Killing
you
a
have
friend.
killing a friend.
No one's ever killed a friend.
Gosh, there's somebody behind
Time
you
to
just ready to stab you
try.
coming out of the closet.
It's just coming in there and just stab, stab, stab. Would be good. For me, yes, I could buy a house. You're absolutely. I
Yeah,
could get married. You're right. I could. I actually also feel like I've experienced those things without experiencing them. I'm like, I'm over it.
interesting.
Don't ask me why or how, but that's how I feel about them. I'm like, I feel like I've done them, sort of, in theory. I've gone to like probably 50 plus weddings at this point in my life. It's a lot of weddings.
You know what it's about.
Yeah. I've been in wedding parties. I've been a total outsider. I've gone to weddings of some of my best friends. Did you get married? Anyway, I've given speeches at weddings. You know what I mean? Like I've been a part of them, and I really think it would be cool to get married, but I'm not there in my life. And I also don't think it's like a milestone where I have to get, because I think some people will never get married, and that's okay for them.
So what? This is going to transition the discussion.
Sure.
What are you gonna? What are you modeling your life after? Are you like looking forward and saying, "I want to be that"? Do you have a role model, or
No, 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 no.
go with the
I'm
trend?
literally just surviving week to week. I'm like, oh my God, I made it. Oh my God, I made it another week. Oh my God, I made it another week. And so I actually don't feel like I think I'm avoiding this midlife crises, if that makes sense.
So does every week feel the same then?
They all have their own adventures and their own ups and downs, and I feel like sometimes they're very repetitive, and I'm like, you've done this before. You forgot about your car insurance, and now it's due. And I'm like, okay, I think I got it. Use your credit card. And then I'm like, okay, well, groceries, usually you get them on this week. Pretend you didn't know and have someone else in the house get them. And you know what I mean? You gotta like be sneaky about it and be like, oh, I thought it was your week. I'm so sorry. You got this? Thanks. I'm just, you're good. And then like also
Mooch.
there's a little, oh yeah, a little bit, dude. I mean, otherwise,
To
if you're not a
survive.
mooch,
Yeah.
yeah, because if you're not a mooch, then in 6 months or 3 months, when you can't pay another bill, you're gonna be a mooch then. What the hell's the difference? Like you're
Spread
doing
out your
it,
moochiness.
yes, spread it out, try and limit the damage. But then there's also things like how much bass are you playing? How much drums? I played drums for like 40 minutes the other day. Felt really good. I was like really getting in the groove. Like, because
Hmm.
that's another thing you didn't talk about is your hobbies, the things you used to do for joy, you don't have time for all the time. How much video games you play? Do you play your bass? Are you playing guitar? You getting out there and fishing?
Do you
Whatever the
really get
fuck.
into it? Are you distracted by
Um,
all the stuff you have going on? I think
no,
you might have actually gotten into drums.
well, I would have been way more into drums and love drums and been a drummer. As it is, I'm a mild drum enthusiast. But I played for 40 minutes the other day and I got some tight grooves in, and I grew in drums for the first time in maybe a year, 2 years.
Hmm.
Like if you do an activity enough, whether it's drumming or whittling or fucking cutting your dog's hair or whatever you're into, if you do it enough, you can actually feel yourself grow, get better at it. You like get tired physically by it, and you're like, "Whew, I did it so much today, and I got so good at it." And I think that's a thing that we stop doing as you reach a certain age.
Realizations or epiphanies, they disappear.
Hmm,
I do love a
I
good
guess.
epiphany. I can't remember the last time I had one.
Don't you have them on the nightly when you record an Unpanders episode with me?
Ah.
No. Moving on.
So I'm going to shift the topic to replication.
Yeah, go ahead. So those are midlife crises, and
Yeah.
we all get there. We all buy a Harley. We all get back into a
We
hobby
see
and
other
do some
people
weird
doing
shit.
and
We
we try to
join a
copy.
gang. Yeah,
We mimic. I think our
we
most,
mimic.
almost
We
all our
we
life is mimicking.
replicate. We
Yeah.
replicate.
Which I think Mimic was a movie, right? It was in the 1990s. Or a
Mm-hmm.
Species. It was Species. They called her a mimic. That's what it was.
Yes.
She was copying herself. Uncanny Valley.
Oh, that's what's the high school movie? Was that Species? No.
Oh, you're talking about The Faculty?
Yeah, I love that one.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It is most interesting when it's they use like human beings, like The Thing, Kurt
Yeah,
Russell.
same idea.
Yeah, where it's like your most
I'm
dangerous
real, David.
opponent is a
I'm
human.
real. His
I
most
have
famous line.
2 daughters.
What are their names?
I'm
I'm real.
I'm real.
I'm real. Like I couldn't even make up two names. Anyway, Vanilla Sky reference. Good.
I feel like you set the post, and it's the post that's based in reality. It's based in somebody else's doing, and I feel like the way your life goes in the very beginning is how your parents try to make you be, and like you,
Which you're doing to your kids?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay, good. Hey, woo, jumping ahead.
So they try to make you a certain way in their own image or whatever you might call it, and you might rebel or not. And I've seen this in a lot of people is that they accept what they're given and they ride that until it shatters. I see people that like when they got to college and they were like straight laced, they didn't realize that the world they lived in was a bubble, and that thing
Rumsfelder?
shatters. Yeah, what was that?
The yeah, Rumsfelder?
I have no idea what that means.
Isn't that the Amish thing where the Amish can go away for like a year or two and they have to
Oh,
come back?
yeah, that's.
Same idea. I think it's called Rumspelta. Rumspelta. I'm really bad at
We
words,
didn't
so yeah.
research Amish. What do you call it? Year off.
Yeah, sure.
Rumspringa.
Oh, my bad. Well, Rumspringa, brother.
Yeah, yeah. They literally. I have relatives that live in Amish country, and
Hmm.
they said that there would be people like wearing the Amish garb, and like young teenagers, they'd go to like a mall or something. They literally would like unzip this like Amish garb and like have regular clothes on, and then they'd be
Underneath.
like experience life like a normal person, whatever normal is.
Hmm. Right. Define normal, but that's fine. Not
Yeah.
here to argue about that.
But could you, if you were in that situation and you saw a life that was obviously better, could you take that life and say, I'm never going to see my parents again? I don't
No,
like,
I couldn't do it. I mean, maybe some people could.
even like the way we're raised, we're somewhat independent and capable of being independent. I don't know that an Amish person is capable of being independent and then breaking the network that they've built around them, or the network they were given, rather.
Well, that's the whole idea is that even if they enjoy independence and they like the other life, they don't know anyone in that life and they have no support system and they don't have a job and they don't have a house and they don't have anyone there. So for them to embrace that fully, they have to they have to make the biggest leap of all. Which by the way, I don't even think I could do what you do and move cross country for a job or anything. Like I'm Philadelphia area bound and I don't think I could leave the area. That's a big jump for me. So to do the next level, leave geographically, family wise, like leave everything that you've been raised to do. I don't think I could do it, but that's me personally. There are
Yeah.
people I guess who could. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think I made the decision going to college.
And that's
Heartfelt
fair.
stories
You
here.
did go
Yeah, I went six. Yeah, I was
6
gonna
hours,
go
right?
maybe to Penn State because I was in Pennsylvania, and
Hmm.
I had a lot of friends going there. It just kind of felt kind of same-ish.
Easy.
I have a thing where I just I can't do the same thing as most people.
Hmm.
I have to be contrarian in some way.
Oof. Oh, that sounds like oh, my goodness.
Too much work. But then I picked a college that was 6 hours away from my home, and I just like lived independently there, and I guess it was not that hard. So I figured we'll just
You
see
could
where I
do
can
it.
go now. Plus the jobs in the Philadelphia area were really crappy, right around 2008 or nine, and I thought about this today too. Is that there was a job with Lutron. They make light switches like
Yeah, I
somewhere
know
around
who they are.
Philadelphia.
That's weird. I deal with that in wire and cable world. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I interviewed with them for like a full day, and I was like, is this really what I want to be? Like, I don't know how much they would offer people to make light switches. You make a better, like, valance or
Make a
whatever you
better
call it.
light switch.
Yeah.
Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy.
Like, does this really, like, does it feel impressive to other, like, it's not a status thing, and it's not even, I guess there are people out there that are like, oh my god, did you see that model B number 008? Like, that light switch was
They're
fantastic.
saying that about the light switch. They're getting off on it. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, did you see that light switch?
Tactile, you
Oh,
feel the click. Wow.
they got new technology."
Yeah, so I could have done that. I could have moved back. It was not that far from you. And I don't know. I guess the enthusiasm was not there, so they were like, we don't. But they never gave me an offer, but I don't think that I would have enjoyed it. I don't like it. Was not alluring. It did not appeal to me. So I picked a job that was still far away, and then that job sucked, so I was like, I gotta get out. And then I took the first thing that looked like it was appealing, and then I moved really far away.
Was that your midlife crisis?
No, that was like 23.
I
I was
know.
like,
Could it
let's
have been
get
your
going.
midlife crisis? Doesn't mean it's really the middle of your life. I think it means it's your big change, your big switch, your big I'm taking control of my life because it's been going in X, Y, and Z, and I want to change it.
Yeah,
You could
well,
probably have two or three in a lifetime.
that job was so bad that I signed up for online tutoring to teach other people while I was working.
And tried to get a scam out of that, I
It
remember.
was not a scam. I was going to
You
actually
wanted
teach people.
me to you wanted me to be a professor and sign off that I was, I'm pretty sure at some point.
What are you going to teach? English?
I don't know. You told me. It was your idea. You approached me if I would tutor.
Maybe. That sounds like me. I kind of believe you. Just a
Okay.
little bit.
As long as you kind of believe me. No, I don't think you went so far as to actually do it. I'm just saying. You're kicking around some ideas. But anyway, you were you're going into the Wild West. You're doing some new shit. You were getting crazy.
Yeah.
You wanted to find you,
I guess that's
which
finding
I
me.
think you did. That is a midlife crisis. I don't care if it's at 23 or whatever the hell it is. You could probably have them 5 times in your life. It's where your DNA, everything you've built up, everything you're working towards, you don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to keep going in that direction. And there's no easy way to gently pull away from these things. You have to do it hard, and you have to do it not fast, but abruptly. And you have to do it strong-willed in a different direction. You have to
Yeah.
have a new focus.
You have 2 or
And
3
I think
days to
that's what,
decide on a job offer. That changes your life
yeah,
forever.
yeah. And you have to literally decide on it and not be wishy-washy. You just have to be like, yep, I'm doing this one. I'm doing X or I'm doing Y, and I'm doing Y, and this is why. I'm doing X, and this is why. What are you doing Y? No, I said X, doing Y. Why are you doing X? I see we're doing a Three Stooges bit. Yeah.
Mm.
So you could be due for another one, dude. I
I
think
don't
some
know.
people have more than others.
I
I'm not
do.
even saying you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I do look at like my cousins who have never left the bubble, and
Hmm.
I guess they don't want to, or I just don't. I can't understand not having drive. I see, like, I understand why you were staying where you're at because you're situated,
Sure.
but they're younger. They don't have kids. They have the opportunity to leave someplace that is way less exciting than where you are, and you may not consider your location exciting, but I've seen very boring locations, and where they live is not. I
Even.
couldn't.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, I
I
gotcha.
just couldn't do it. Like, it's like living in the like my suburbs. My suburbs versus your suburbs. I feel like your suburbs have a little more life to
Yeah, I could see that. Yours is more stagnant, more status quo.
them. Hmm.
What happens already happens. It's kind of like a repetitive story. A mimicking, as you were, if you were to keep on pace with mimic,
Yeah,
because you
copy
wanted to make
paste.
half
It's like a
this episode
Levittown.
about mimic.
Yeah,
Ah, Levittown, nice drop.
yeah. Copy
Um,
paste. Ticky tack houses on the
there's
hillside.
there's there's a strip town in Levittown. We won't mention names, but they're daytime
Peaches.
workers.
Uh-huh.
No, not that one. They're daytime workers. Very corpulent women. Very beautiful.
Corpulent. Is
Just
corpulent
beautiful.
even? Are you trying to like vivacious? Bodacious.
Just thick everywhere. And shout out to them. Are you looking at the definition of corpulent while we're on the?
It is fat. That's surprising.
Okay, cool. I didn't want to. I want to say fat. So yeah.
Pump.
No, but
Portly,
everyone.
chubby, still.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Thank you. That's perfect. You didn't have to demean them. I was trying to give them a powerhouse word here.
Power.
Regardless, powerful, parakeet. They were. What I'm getting at is that at any time you technically could decide to do anything different. You could change your life. You can go do anything. You can go anywhere. You can pick up your shit and move anywhere.
Oh, that sounds
It's
so much
freedom,
work.
baby.
So
It's
much work.
freedom. But hassle wise,
Oh,
it's almost never worth it.
yeah.
Isn't that funny? Which is interesting. So if your life is shit, or your life is so boring, or your life is so A, B, C, D every day, you technically could decide to pick up, move it, change it, drastically go in a different direction. I'm a Harley guy now. Okay, Dad, you're 64, and he's like, call me Roger. And you're like, that's your middle name, and no one's ever called you Roger in your entire life. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm Roger now. And he buys a helmet and a Harley, and he gets a freaking Harley jacket, and he's into Harleys, and he starts hanging out with guys who have Harleys. And you're like, how do you know these people? And he's like, met him on a forum, and he revs his engine, and he drives off. And you're like, damn, dude, my dad's badass now, but not really because he's like 64, but like, whatever, do you. And I think that's the midlife crisis thing. Like, you can you can pick up your life and change it at any second. Like you're on a course,
Yeah.
you have a plan, but you can alter it at any second. You're mimicking X or Y, but
This is golden handcuffs for me because my trajectory is such that I could retire
mm, know what they
probably
are.
10 or 15 years if I'm
Sure.
lucky. But that's like, I kind of wish that when I was younger I jumped around because there's like right now if you're young you could literally Airbnb like a month in one place, a month in another place. Like you could probably get by. You might be broke at the end of it, but if you have these like little jobs every now and then, like you could probably like take a job for like 6 months and be like, this sucks, but I experienced it. You take that experience and then you like save it to your memory banks.
So what are you getting at? What's worth more, the monies or the experiences?
The experiences,
But you need money to have experiences sometimes.
yeah. So it's a trade off.
It is, of course.
What do you think
Hmm.
about those Instagram people that are like always traveling,
Influencers?
jumping into like crystal blue waters with nice music playing and hot girls like
They're probably
doing.
having a really good time, but they're doing it so back to back and so fast and moving on, and they don't have boring stuff to compare it to. Like those influencers are going to a cave in Dubai and then like immediately flying to like Mexico to do with this exotic town. And I think they're having a great time, dude. They're vibing. They're living a life probably better than mine. But they will not know what it's like to have monotony in life and do dishes and work a 9 to 5 for 3 weeks straight where you didn't enjoy a day of those 3 weeks. And there's something powerful about being able to do that and then enjoy something, to endure that and then move on. Because that person, that influencer who's having a great life and everything, I don't even know if they could do 3 weeks of labor. Like what would happen to them? They might break. They might not. They
They'll
might.
shatter.
They wouldn't know what the hell's going on. Their brains wouldn't function. So see, no matter what you're doing, you're getting better at something. Even if it's a stupid monotony job or like doing something you hate, you're getting better at enduring. I don't think you should get so good at enduring that it becomes your norm. But when you do, you've built up a callus that someone with a life of luxury does not have. You're able to endure things that some people can't. So there's an advantage to be taken from whatever you do, whether you're an influencer or not.
Yeah.
I just think you can't do all of one thing. You can't be an influencer 24/7 for 40 years. You
Can't
can't
be
be
a
a blue collar laborer who doesn't get vacations for 30 years and just works on a fish line or whatever the fuck I made up that term, but
yeah.
fish line.
This is it's becoming jaded, but this is very much like my friend who's a photographer. She took pictures for like Rolling
Oh,
Stone, and the moment she captures, it looks very like vivacious,
hmm.
it's full of life and exciting. But really, there's probably days worth of prep to get all the items and make sure the person who's there is like dolled up and done right and they angle the lighting. there's tons of stuff that goes on that one shot, and there's probably, what most people don't realize, is probably like hundreds of shots, and they just picked one. And there's people arguing over which shot to take, like not only take, but like
which one to pick,
which one to use.
Out of the whole,
yeah,
right.
So when it becomes something like even designing something or creating something, you think of all of the different offshoots that you had to pare down because you didn't have the time, or they weren't that interesting, or you failed at them. It's like what I guess like a game designer would see is like the final product is incredibly flawed. It's missing all of these pieces. Like I tried to make all of this stuff.
I cut this out. I wish we could have kept this. This rendition didn't work. We recorded this, but it was with the wrong software. So what we ended up with was this. And they see something that's terribly like, I just wish it could have been better. And someone who sees it for the first time is like, oh, it was awesome. I freaking loved it. It was so cool. It was pretty awesome.
But you're reminded of your work nemesis winning that battle of that one widget, and you're like, that thing sucks. Like mine was better.
Damn.
Can't get
it
over
would have been the difference. So, what are we getting at?
Do you want to wrap it up, or you want me to go into full-blown replication here?
No, go into full-blown replication. Some of us have to pee. It doesn't matter. It's like whatever.
So there was a conversation about bit flips, right? You remember this conversation? Radiation?
I actually do. Yeah, I do. Where you have to have a double safe check to make sure, because 1 every billion, this will show that the bit has flipped even though it hasn't. So you need a double fail-safe to make sure, right? Is that essentially
that's correct,
the idea?
But people who are listening have no idea what I'm talking about, or what you're talking about.
Go ahead. Go listen.
So essentially, if you're in like software and you're safety critical, it's called, and you need to make sure that when you're processing something, when you're doing the math, that you're double checking.
Something has to be 1,000,000,000% correct, because millions of lives are at stake, or millions of dollars are at stake. Something super important, even if it's a simple process, has to be safe. So how do you make sure? Because
check it. The interesting part is that it's really that the digital world and all of the logic really comes down to a yes or no question done about 1 billion times. So like AI is just a yes or no many, many, many times. And then also our genetics and evolution is also like a variance of yes or no.
Yes, no checks, right? It's well, it's 4 genes, but one's on or one's off. If fair, it's yes or no.
GTAC, right?
GTAC, not cgac or cga, whatever the RNA is. But let's not go there. Go.
Yeah. So all those things are randomly like bit flipping and creating something new. Whether the new thing is good or bad, I don't know who to say it is. It's whether it succeeds or survives. But what most people don't realize is that like your computer is the bunch of yes no's all over again, like multiple times a second. It's just yes no yes no. Like the reason that we change is radiation, and it's the same thing that affects computers. So if you're calculating something and there's like a speck of radiation just explodes in that one little bit and flips it, you get like errors, blue screens, things fail.
A yes could be a no could be a yes. Sure.
So this leads into like Tron. You watch Tron, the new one, old one?
Yeah. Both.
Is it digital jazz? And then how they have
digital jazz?
Yeah, that's is that Kurt Russell again? Is that what's his name?
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell again. I think it was.
No, it's not Kurt Russell. It's Daniel. What's his name?
Jeff Daniels? No.
Jeff Daniels. No, is it? I think it
is. Is it? Yeah, I think it is Jeff Daniels. Okay, fair.
Similar.
Fact check us.
Yeah. But what he was talking about was like, there's probably another level of like the way you can break down a person versus the way you can break down a computer. And they were talking about how like AI generated this like being, and then they became like their own entity. So it's weird that we're just essentially like the human beings are essentially just instructions that are built out to house an intellect which we can't define.
That answers yes, no. Sure. Consciousness, intellect, we can't define. I'm glad we're doing an entire episode's worth of material right here.
Yeah. I just went off on a tangent. I didn't know where I was going.
I know, and I get it. So what you were getting at is that we can mimic anything. Can we mimic human life? I don't know. Why would we mimic things? Are we constantly just mimics? Is that what we are? Is that what you were getting at?
Kind of, yeah.
Mm,
If we could rebuild the human body, like exactly, if we could copy you,
with the mind. Hmm.
yeah, if we cop. So there's this is the
I would look at its abs.
you if you had weed and money, you might make out with them.
I might for less. I might for less.
But it's interesting that like if you break your arm, and like you could have it rebuilt. Like you could just like this was my arm, I have it saved, just like fix me. Like there's a weird aspect of if you merged biology, medicine, and some sort of weird like computer technology, that you could make something that like protects people and rebuilds them.
It would be used for capitalistic gains, I'm sure.
100%, and it'd be
Okay,
abused, and it'd
that's
be
fair.
like take
I
these.
warriors. We were just people with multiple arms going to war.
What were the things in Bioshock called?
Daddies.
It's like the enhancements, like there's
Oh,
plasmids. It's a
plasmids.
plasmid.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
that's exactly. The world of plasmids. It's like 25 cents. Get your
Welcome to the
plasmid.
circus of
Yeah, that's what it
values.
is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Well,
I took it off the rails. Where
you
do you,
did.
where do you think replication should go? Do you ever,
Honestly, well, you said I don't. I'm not a replicator.
you're an original? You're a unique snowflake?
Yeah, I like to think I am. Of course, I steal from everyone and steal from everything, and my brand of humor is derived from this. My brand of music is derived from this. My brand of like, I don't know, how I make friends is derived from this. It's all derived, but it's like I make my own, and I'm also not afraid that it will fail.
Hmm. What do you mean by
I don't
fail?
know. Well, I kind of
Fall
think
apart?
maybe
Reboot?
like so. This is weird. I heard jazz music really loud tonight when I was on my deck cooking, grilling,
Mm-hmm.
really loud. And I said, "Oh, that's probably live music down the street." It's COVID, everything else. I was like, it's totally a bass player and totally a saxophonist, and it's totally jazz. And I was like, kind of gotta see what's going on. So instead of grilling, I walked down, walked across the street, walked up the block, and I saw live musicians. And I was like, hey, I don't want to bother anyone. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I just want to say shout out. I really dig the bass. Yours is much bigger than mine, and it was like a 10 foot, or and by 10 foot I mean like 6 foot upright bass,
Mm-hmm.
cello, whatever. It was cool. And saxophonist, and I was like, listen, and it was like older black gentlemen, and I was like, oh damn, these guys know what's up. Like they've been around the block for years. Like these guys are old cats, like they get it. And I was like, I just want to give you guys a shout out. Everything you're doing tonight sounds really awesome. I can hear it from my balcony. I don't know. I didn't know if you're having a concert over here. And then a couple came out and they're like, oh, we were actually celebrating our wedding anniversary and we don't go out much for coke. And I was like, oh, I'm standing over here. I'm like, oh, this is cool. You guys look wonderful. They were like 47 years of marriage. And I was like, that's awesome. Like you guys, they were dressed up. Like it was really touching. Um, I knew a couple of places where they were from because I asked them where they're from and everything. And I was like, this is cool. Like, you guys have a good time. I was like, I'm Nick. I'm from this house over here. And they were like, oh, we know that house. That's the party house. And I was like, oof. I was like, they got me. That is the party house. And I was like, anyway, guys, have a great night. And I don't know. Like, my idea is always just do something different or original or just don't do what most people would do. And I have no clue who those people were, the jazz musicians. I totally like them. I totally dig them. I totally hope they remember me. And I don't know who the couple is, although they're sort of my neighbors. So next time I see them, I'll be able to say hi and like whatever. But the idea is, I don't know what percentage of people would have just went over there and did that. And in my brain, I was just like, don't bother them. Like, don't go down there and do it. But it was like real quick. It was real easy. It was real. I just wanted to say, hey, I wanted to tell them I appreciate what they're doing and it sounded cool and give a little, people like feedback every now and then
Mm-hmm.
without hanging around and being like breathing on them and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's a mini
I don't.
tangent here.
Go ahead.
So I was watching a Kurt Vonnegut, I guess,
Sure.
educational video about
Yeah.
the classic story, like what gets people hooked the most. And he's essentially going through Cinderella and putting it on a plot graphing the happiness of the character, and like he said, this is repeated time and time again. So as a writer, I guess a lot of people follow the same kind of
The
plot
plot,
lines. Yeah.
whatever, sure.
Same kind of like there's copying. They're mimicking until they can expound on something, the variants.
But get this, if it gets copied so many times in so many stories, the thing that's going to grab your attention is one that doesn't copy it because it's different.
Yeah.
It's a balance. I mean, you're going to find that like eventually this formula works pretty well, but the formula is it's going to con itself out when everyone's doing it. 90% of people, you've read the story 900 times, someone does something different, you're like, oh damn. Oh damn.
It's like the first seven seasons of Game of Thrones.
This guy said the first 7 seasons. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree though.
But
they did it totally different. They killed off characters that you shouldn't kill off, and everyone was like, oh, I need more. You're right. It was not exactly the proper way to do a show and build characters. Yeah, it was different.
But what you touched on was the moment. So when you're in a moment with people, like the I guess kind of like the inflection and the tone and the context, all of that adds up to uniqueness that you can't copy and paste, and then you also can't share that with people exactly. I got the sense
like you guys
of what
have
you were
no
saying.
clue. I know, but you guys weren't there, and I'm glad you listened and everything. But I felt weird when I was in. I was like, he had to be there. I just wanted to say, but you're right.
Which is strange, right? Because most people, I don't know that they're on that level of having actual interactions with people, with sharing, I guess, unique moments. It's the how's the weather, how are you, like the standard communication protocols. It's very strange that most people, I would say majority of people, are like willing to go along with this, like that kind of standard.
Well, because I would agree. Most people don't want to break that. You also don't want to be the guy who's in line at the grocery store who just starts talking to the young clerk, and maybe he's creepy and he doesn't know he's creepy. That's the danger for me. At one point, am I like, anyway, this is a $2 bill. You ever seen a $2 bill before? Yes, sir, I have. Nobody talks anymore. Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, no, like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, the person who's doing that doesn't know that they're out of line. So there is a fine line. I will say that. You have to know what you're doing. But there's also a reward for not, I don't know, doing your own thing and not, I don't know, going off base. What we're saying here is everyone has a midlife crisis, and you're having yours right now listening to this episode. If you listen this far, you're having a midlife crisis.
What can you do to correct it?
Buy a Harley.
Yeah. Go on
Buy
an
a
online
sports
forum.
bike.
Find
Go
some
on an
dudes.
forum. Find some guys. Find some bros that'll help you get through this.
It's a bicep.
A couple of guys in their bicep mansion.
Yeah.
Their workout party.
I think what it boils down to is that you really just need solid connections with people. You need to find people that are like you in mentality, and it might surprise you who has that mentality. Even if
Here's the
like,
interesting thing. I think that's what might cause that midlife crisis. You kind of get away from that.
yeah,
Like, in high school, we're all best friends. We're all laughing. We're all doing shit. In college, you kind of the same thing. By the time you get in your late 20s, early 30s, you kind of, like you mentioned, no one's caring for you, and you're not really bros with anyone. I mean, you're doing shit. So it's like you disassociate from the world and just become this, I'm doing a job, I'm saving money, I'm doing this, I'm fixing the house, I'm doing this, I'm raising a kid. And you stop having those interactions with people.
Like you said, if you've known somebody for a few weeks, maybe that's not long enough to understand that they're sarcastic all the time, and when you need to get somebody off your back, you got to show them your butthole.
That's what you got to do, man. Maybe that's the only way to get rid of some people. Or get them really into you. It really depends where the dice fall.
Yeah, and that if a girl's really into you, that's the only way.
That's
how you know
that it's
true
that it's
love.
fate or you're fated. So what we're saying is keep checking our soch, keep checking our this. If you have some kind of, I gotta pee, and that's the way it goes when you get older, folks.
That's why
So
I wear
thanks for tuning
diapers.
in.
Every episode depends on
It
me.
depends on the episode.
Yeah.
It does. But thank you for checking us out. If you think anything to add about midlife crises or mimicking, please feel free to not even tell us.
Yeah, because we probably don't. Well, I probably would care. I don't think Nick would care, though.
I would care. I wouldn't get around to checking it.
I think that's a good night.
It is. Thanks for joining us. We like you guys. We like you a lot.
A lot.